Alright guys, um, my name's Chris with Kinex Systems, and today I'm here to talk to you about mounting and setting up your Kinex ion single pin sight. So we have one mounted on this prime here, and the mounting is pretty simple. Basically you're provided with two mounting screws and the Allen wrenches to adjust everything on the sight. There's two sets of mounting holes. You got your front set and your back set. Basically, depending on the size of your peep sight and stuff, you can mount it closer to you or farther away. And then the two holes that are in between those mounting holes are the holes that are set up for your quiver mount. So once you have it mounted, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to shoot this bow you're going to want to start at your close yardage, say 15 or 20 yards. On this particular sight, the sight tape starts with your close yardage at the bottom and moves up to 100 yards, which is all the way at the top. So what you're going to want to do is when you sight your 20 in, you're going to loosen this tensioner knob right here, and you're going to adjust your sight so that the pin that tells you your yardage is all the way at the bottom. So right here's your sight tape. There's a little metal pin here that shows you where your sight's actually at as far as yardage. You're going to move that all the way to the bottom. That way you have full range of motion in your sight tape. So when you shoot your 20, you'll tighten your tensioner knob down so the sight doesn't move. When you shoot your 20 in, you'll use the dovetail that's on the back. There's a little Allen head bolt right here. You'll use one of the Allen wrenches that's provided. You'll loosen that up. That'll actually move your sight housing up and down to get your 20 sighted in. The reason for that is so your 20, depending on the speed of your bow, your poundage and draw length and everything, so your 20 doesn't start, say, halfway up or a third of the way up your sight tape. That way you have full range of motion so you can shoot farther out if you want to. So once you get that dialed in, you will step back to your farther distance. Now, the rule of thumb is the farther away you sight your bow in, the more precise your intermediate yardage markings are going to be. So the in-between stuff like 33, 41, you know, whatever the little hash marks on your sight tape, each one of those hash marks is a yardage, and the farther you sight it in, the more precise each one of those is going to be. So my recommendation is to go to 60. What a lot of people will do is rather than just stepping back to 60 yards to shoot your bow, they'll kind of move their way back in 10-yard increments. That way, once you're at 60, you can fine-tune it, but you don't have to just go back and try to hit the target. The other way to do it is to look in your sight tapes, go to one that's in the middle of your sight tapes, and line it up on here, and that'll kind of give you an idea of where 60 is going to be. So once you start shooting 60, you're going to leave that dovetail where it's at. You're going to loosen your tensioner knob, and you're going to move your dial up and to move the sight up and down to where you get your 60 dialed in right where it's supposed to be. And basically once you have your 60 dialed in, you'll take your sight tapes and you'll line it up with those two marks. The sight has a blank sight tape on it right out of the box. So basically you'll mark your 20, which will be at the bottom, and then you'll mark your 60 on that blank sight tape. And then you'll flip through your sight tapes. Once you got your 60 dialed in, you'll line those two marks up with 20 and 60 on a sight tape. Whichever one lines up closest to those marks, that's the sight tape you'll cut out and stick on here. Basically, I mean, it's a pretty simple concept. You don't have to do 60 yards, but like I said, that's going to get you more precise intermediate yardages. So once you have that, you stick your sight, you'll cut your sight tape out, you'll stick it on here, and you'll be good to go. Basically, you can dial this sight in to whatever yardage you want, and it'll be right on. First time I sighted this bow in, I did 20 and 60, and as soon as my 60 was good, I dialed it all the way down to 100, and I shot 3 arrows at 100, and I had a 3-inch group in the target at 100 yards. So one thing I will tell you to watch, depending on your axle-to-axle bows, you'll have to watch if you're going to shoot out to 100 yards and you dial this sight all the way down. Depending how fast your bow is, you got to watch your arrow clearance between your rest and your sight. There is some rests that your arrow's up pretty high and you can actually hit your fletching on the bottom of the sight. So just forewarning people that want to shoot that far, just to watch out for that. So if you guys have any other questions, you can email sales@kinexsystems.com, or you can call 330-407-3605. That's my personal cell phone number, and I